guys. This is not a normal episode that we usually do of our Outcast Hunting Podcast, but I have Dustin King joining me for this episode, and we just want to do a call to action. There is what I feel like is a danger to Conecuh National Forest, where we do a lot of hunting, where people are wanting to lease the land for oil and mineral rights. What's your thoughts on that, Dustin?
Man, I can't imagine going down there and seeing just well sites everywhere. You know, I've been to North DeSoto, Mississippi, and there's remnants of old well sites. From the research I've seen, the typical lease runs about 10 years. And I work in the oil and gas industry, but also work in the Gulf of Mexico. But I feel like the land side.
Let me pause you right there. It's called
Okay.
Gulf of America.
Dadgummit.
I'm sorry. Keep going. I had to correct that. It was too good of an opportunity not to.
That's true. That's true. After working out there since 2012, I'm used to Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, I totally understand. I'm kidding.
I work in the Gulf of America, and we have to abide by a lot of laws and regulations, and I know these land rigs do too, but it's not so much the aspect of people has already been harping on me, the deer, you get used to it. It's the sight, it's the eyesore to it. And I don't know if you've been down County Road 4 where the solar panels got put in. My goodness, you can see them on it. You know, it looks like 1,000 acres of solar panels.
For a form of very inefficient energy.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
I've also heard talks that, now granted, I went down there today actually, that the cotton does not grow as good or whatever crop is planted around those from the heat emission. Even at night, they collect so much heat throughout the day. It stunts the growth of the crops in the surrounding area, which is wild. That's how many there is.
I've never thought about that, but it makes sense. So one thing that is to me disheartening about the way that this rule is coming down is it's not a bill that's in Congress where we could contact our representatives and make our voice heard and demand that they not go through with this. This is actually something that the way I would describe it is legal, or at least the bureaucracy thinks that it's legal, and they are deciding that they want to, at the very least, I think the way they're wording it on the website is look at the land and do an assessment to see if they would want to mine it for oil and minerals. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I want to say 4% total of Alabama public lands was up for it, and somehow we landed in that 4%. That number could be wrong. I read so much today, but I don't know how we got lucky enough to land off in that.
Yeah. Well, again, you can't contact your representatives about it, but there is this comment period that the bureaucracy is allowing to hear opinions from the public. And that's what we really want to call people to action on, is to make sure that their voices are heard about this and in time, because I told you, I think I mentioned this earlier, we're kind of dropping the ball as far as Outcast is, because we're late trying to get this word out and call people to action. It's actually this coming up Tuesday. Is it August 11th? Is that the correct date? So that is the deadline to submit your comments. But my thought on that, though, however, is from the notes that I read and from everything that I see online, a decision is not going to be made on this until December of this year, 2025. So even though the formal comment period will be ending, you can still put pressure on those people. And even though I would say this is my opinion, even though this is not something that representatives in Congress are directly involved in, they can still put pressure on those folks that run this bureaucracy and ask for this not to happen. And
Absolutely.
And actually, they probably have more pull than a lot of the general public does. So if it's something that, and I think that it is, I think this is something that we could contact those representatives as well and ask for their help on this.
And what's Katie Brooke is her name, I believe?
Katie Britt.
She's running on, what is it, Keep Alabama Beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a slogan of hers. Well, this is not keeping Alabama beautiful, if you ask me. It has nothing
I
to do with
agree.
hunting. It has everything to do with what's there. Tree forming, we all know, happens on public land. And if, to me also, when you incorporate that, a clear cut, that's good for the deer, but well sites ain't good for the deer. And if some way or another the public was even seeing any compensation from this, which we're not, it still wouldn't be okay.
I agree. And here is one thing that I've been thinking about. Well, in my research with this, I saw that in the assessment, 96% of the Conecuh National Forest is going to be up for this. They would have the availability to mine for these minerals and oil on 96% of the national forest. And if I understood it right, there's only 3 little areas that they're advertising that they're interested in, but you're opening up the whole national forest to them. And I think anybody could agree with this, that uses what's between their ears. Once you give some power, whatever that looks like, whatever form of power to the government, they don't very easily give that back. So I think this is something that we need to be very vocal about and very careful about who we allow to do this, because it's my opinion also, and I would hope that everybody shares this opinion. The government does not own that land. That is supposed to be set aside for the people, and the government is stewards of that land. They're supposed to manage it for the public. As a matter of fact, all those park rangers will mention the Conecuh National Forest as this is your forest. So I'm concerned about this.
Me too. And also the way the wording is broke down for these leases, it's really complicated. Any type of fine print when it comes to legality. It looks like they talk about depending on what type of ground there is, like you can only drill on 40 acres. Well, with more expansion or newer discovery, that well site can go to 160 acres. So it just keeps growing and growing as it's broke down with another permit. Here's your permission to keep going. And that's just mind blowing to me, man. It's crazy.
So this is me looking ahead, kind of seeing the problems that could come from this. And if you think that I'm wrong in any of this, correct me. I'm serious. But the most of the public land off the national forest is leased by the state from individuals. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I were some of those individuals that owned the land and it was going to be close to these drilling sites, I wouldn't want any of those drilling sites close to where my residence is. And that's how a lot of the people that own the land, like they live out there, some of them. Okay. I wouldn't lease that land to the state. So then I have to wonder, is that going to decrease the amount of hunting land that we have as far as public land? What do you think about that?
I would think so because, I mean, like you just said, right now the government, let's say they got 2 hands and 2 cookie jars. And then we're going to get greedy and we're going to expand. I feel like, just in my experience, you can tap into this reservoir, and now we're going to do a seismographic survey and realize there's another one because this one was so rich.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps multiplying.
Yep.
And even if there is researchable drilling, just say exploration drilling, which is a thing, then you still have the aftermath of that.
And 2, it's a slippery slope. Like you say, if they do find something that's making money, the hunter is going to be the last thing that's on their mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know that, you made the comment that even without worrying about the deer or deer hunting, I have to think about the possible damage to natural resources, because, I'm not an oil and gas guy, so you could probably correct me on this if I've been misled, but there has to be some type of pollution stuff that has a strong possibility of altering our waterways, the creek systems. In my research, I saw where the creek systems and the river systems within Conecuh National Forest has like so many protected species of mussels and other fish. So am I wrong in that?
So I would think again, legalities, EPA, all the government associations when it comes to protecting a natural resource are going to be involved. And I don't want to say in concrete that there would be possible pollution, but more than likely, I would have to say yes. Because to me, from what I researched, you can't draw water from natural creeks, from the natural ecosystem, which is needed to drill. So they're going to bring in water tanks, ponds, whatever you call it, on land, I'm not sure, type of mud pit system to drill these wells. Well, where is that return going to go unless they have all these trucks there in order to stock that return coming back, I don't know, 5,000 feet, whatever they're drilling. And then when they capture whatever product they're after, there's always a potential for a blowout and a catastrophe to happen.
Right. I think my camera died or something happened, so it went to my webcam, but we're still good. I don't know. It just seems to me that there's a lot more negatives that could come from this than there are positives. And me personally, I'm really concerned for the public land and the access that we have for it, because I believe the United States is unique in the access to public lands that we have. You know, if we want to go have a picnic with our families or hunt, we have public land that we can access. And the United States is pretty unique with that. I don't want us to end up like the people across the pond where hunting or, you know, anything outdoors related is looked at as a rich man's game.
And that's one of my gripes too. You know, the man that can't afford to get in a $2,000 hunting club, just say he goes to work Monday through Friday and he goes down there and bam, there's a well site on his favorite block. Well, he's going to be deterred. And now he's got to put in what limited time he has to go find somewhere else to hunt, you know?
And not only that, but like, you know, if you do pull in and you see a well site, surely I would think for safety reasons, you know, you would not be allowed within so many feet of that well site, you know, sort of like areas that have campsites or something. You can't hunt within a certain distance of those. I mean, that would be something else that hunters would have to keep in mind as well.
That's right. I'm sure they would build some kind of barrier, being like a substation almost, you know. Here's the well, 200 feet barrier around it, which takes up even more land.
Yeah. Well, we said that we would keep this little short podcast short and sweet. I feel like we kind of hit the highlights. Is there anything that we didn't say about it that you feel like we should?
No, I encourage everybody to put in your thought and let's try to get ahead of this. I'm outside, got moths flying around. Let's try to get ahead of this and let's let the legislation know what the people think, because if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. But I'm not going to go down without a fight of at least saying my thoughts. I've already sent 6 emails, probably going to send some more before the 11th, to be honest with you. Maybe make a few phone calls, leave some voicemails, but do it in a good manner. Don't be mad about this, because that don't solve anything, you know. Do it in a productive way, professional way.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I thought about that earlier, you know, go about it in a respectful manner. But I'm right there with you. I'm going to be sending some emails. I'm going to make some comments as well. And I hope that a lot of people will jump on board with this before the comment period ends. And I do still encourage you to reach out to your representatives and let your voice be heard, and ask them to put pressure on the bureaucracy to avoid this.
That's right. And even when that comment period ends the 11th, keep sending, do what you got to do. The phone numbers are readily available to the public. Just because they say the comment period ended, don't mean you got to quit talking.
That's exactly right. And we have until December of this year. And if they decide to go through with it, the implementation would start as early as February of next year, February of 2026. So just keep that in mind. Do you have anything else before we end this, Dustin?
That's it, man.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope that you will join us with our call to action and take part and let your voice be heard. Appreciate you listening. Y'all take it easy. We'll catch you on the next one.